सर्वेभ्यो नमस्कारः, नमो नमः, शुभ सायंकालम. Today is another good day that we are going to have a lecture from Purushottam Karve ji. I will introduce him after Vande Mataram and then Prarthana. Let us request Prakash Garu to recite Vande Mataram, please.
Yes, sir. Namaste, sir. Sarvebhyah namaskaraha. Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. Sujalam Sufalam Malayaj Sitalam Sasya Syamalam Mataram Vande Mataram Suprajosna Pulakitayamini Pullakusumita Drumadala Sobhini Suhasini Sumadurabhashini Sukadam Varadam Mataram Vande Mataram Vande Mataram. सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः, धन्यवादः.
Vande Mataram. ధన్యవాదములండి ప్రకాష్ గారు.
ధన్యవాదాలు సార్.
Now let us request Govindaraj Garu to chant Prarthana, please.
Sarvebhyo namaskaraha. Let us start with meditation. Sit with your back straight. Close your eyes, palms facing the sky, and focus on your breath. Let us now chant Om 3 times. Om. 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 Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtharajan Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashunvannutibhih Sidasadanam. Om Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha. Om Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhir Vajinivati Dhinamavityavatu. Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha. Gurureva Gatih Gurumeva Bhaje Gurunaiva Sahasmi Namo Gurave. Na Guroh Paramam Shishurasmi Guroh Matirasti Gurau Mam Pahi Guru. Jnananandamayan Devam Nirmalasphटिकाकृतिम् Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivamupaasmahe. Shruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मातृदेवो भव पितृदेवो भव आचार्यदेवो भव अतिथिदेवो भव ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्
ధన్యవాదములండి గోవిందరాజు గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. Now, briefly, I introduce our speaker of today, Achyut Purushottam Karve ji. He is known to us. He has given two webinars earlier also. But for the people whom he is new, I'll briefly introduce him to you. He has been studying tabla of Ahmed Jan Terekwa for the past 50 years, trying to figure out the reason for the exquisite lingual sounds he could produce on tabla. He was the first to point out that his technique of playing tabla was the outcome or reflection of a chaste recitation of the compositions to reveal the chaste phonetation of the letters. He took the refuge of Maheshwara Sutras. In 2015, after a study of 10 years on Maheshwara Sutras, he recorded his findings on the 64 letters of Sanskrit language and the 18 anus in his book on revealing the Atlantis of Sanskrit phonology. He's also been working with children, teaching them to read and write the Devanagari script. In this effort, he was guided by Pandit Vasudevacharya Joshi, a Vedic Pandit, and Professor Shivakumar Chaturvedi, a professor of Sanskrit grammar at Bharatiya Sanskrit Sansadan, Lucknow. And this is the brief introduction. I don't have many other details. If anything relevant, if I have missed, I request Achyut Purushottam Karve ji to let you know. So with this, let us welcome Achyut Purushottam Karve ji to come and start the webinar, please.
So should I start?
Yeah, please start.
I'll share my 1 minute. So can you see the screen which I have shared?
Yes, we can see.
Raoji has already introduced me, and I have been working on the Maheshwar Sutras for the past 20 years. Recently, about 10 days back, my brother showed me some plates showing the muscles of the face. And those muscles were involved in or are involved in the various expressions that are seen on the face of a man. And in the West, this is widely studied and is known as the plastic face. After he showed me those plates, I could very easily refer them to my study of the Maheshwar Sutras. And this is what made me contact Akela Rao ji, whether such a webinar is possible. And in a matter of 10 to 15 days, I am before you presenting what you can say, the importance of understanding the physiology of the face and how we can go one step ahead. That is define the letters with the help of the facial muscles. That is defining the madhyama in speech. So therefore, after he said that, yes, we can conduct a webinar, during the past week, I have written this article, which I will be reading it to you, which will give you a background of how I have reached this place. And you can reflect on it and ask questions if you feel that the thing is, or my presentation is not to the mark. Excuse me if I have committed any or I have established certain wrong relationships vis-a-vis the tradition, because I am not a Sanskrit Pandit in the real sense. I have just read the first three Aniks of Patanjali. I have read Bhartrhari's writings in the Vakpadiyam, and that's all. So with just so much references, I am presenting this topic. The topic is for expression and phonation of vowels, and notes for webinar on muscles of the face for expression and phonation of vowels and evolution of consonants from vowels. This is a very important topic. I first salute Panini, Kartyan, Patanjali and Bhartrhari for the great work they have done, and they have tried to reveal the Maheshwar Sutras in one form or another. Now, this article is in continuation of my book, the Revealing the Atlantis of Sanskrit Phonology, which I had published 10 years back. So I start reading slowly. These are my observations, which I have put on paper. There has been a decadence in the chaste phonation of the alphabet of Indian languages and Sanskrit in particular. This has occurred because the role it plays in physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health and well-being has got overlooked over the past few centuries. The use of physiological systems has also undergone change. These days, only the chest muscles are used for phonation. The role of the diaphragm for phonating words has not only been marginalized, it has gone out of use altogether. That the diaphragm has a major role to play in sounding letters chastely has got overlooked. It is pertinent to stress that the use of the diaphragm changes the quality of the pronunciation and of the syllabic rendering of the sounded letters of the alphabet as well as of words. The phonation points of consonants and length of phonation of the vowels, defining the 64 letters comprising 41 plosive consonants, 2 non-plosive consonants and 21 vowels, the 18 anas as voiced in Sanskrit, and underscoring the importance of voicing consonants as plosives were covered in my book. This is what were the objectives of my book. In this, the relevant aspect is this, that the diaphragm has to be used. Generally, what we do is, while speaking, we use our chest muscles. Instead of that, we need to use the diaphragm, that is the nabhi. Now, this is very important. This use of the nabhi, or the description that the Vaikhari starts from the nabhi, is an important description, and the nabhi needs to be pulled inside while speaking. The objectives of the book were to impress that Sanskrit is an easy language to learn and use, also that it is a universal language. To classify the consonants of Sanskrit as soft plosive consonants, hard plosive consonants, non-plosive consonants, as well as classify vowels appropriately, assigning specific touch points of the tongue tip, its sides and surface in pronunciation, alongside the use of lips in the case of plosive consonants. The teeth are of no use in sounding consonants. To impress the importance of the two rules in phonation, that is, touch consonants are plosive and the tongue needs to be drawn backward while sounding a letter, to set forth a time span dimension to the pronunciation of the short and the long vowels. Now here, generally when we are speaking, we push the tongue ahead while we utter a word. For example, you say the word word. Now here the tongue is pushed forward. In Sanskrit, invariably, the tongue is pulled backwards. This is an observation. Abstract for the present presentation. It has already been said that the tongue needs to be drawn backward while sounding letters. In addition, in order to draw the tongue backward, one needs to pull the navel inwards, that is Nabhi Prayatna, while sounding letters. That is, these two are linked. The moment you pull back, if you have to pull back the tongue while phonating a letter, immediately your Nabhi goes inside. There is a link between the two. While practicing the above with the Maheshwar Sutras, one sees the distinction between the vowels and the consonants. While phonating vowels, one sees that the shape of the face changes while voicing each vowel. However, while phonating consonants, the shape of the tongue or the shape of the face does not change. It is said by Patanjali in his Mahabhashya that human speech consists of 4 parts. This is also a Vedic statement. Some say they are the nouns, verbs, prefixes, and particles. Others say that that which men hear is only the 4th part of speech, the Vaikhari. The remaining 3 are hidden, which are generally understood to be the Madhyama, the Pashyanti, and the Para. The internal and external effort together constitute the Madhyama. The navel, Nabhi, and the lungs constitute the internal organs of phonation. The larynx, the mouth, the tongue, and the muscles of the face form the external organs of phonation. The muscles of the face are responsible to shape the mouth and the tongue. The shape of the mouth determines the vowels. The particular shape the mouth takes determines the shape of the tongue. The shape of the tongue determines the class of plosive and non-plosive consonants. This presentation is solely based on the practical study of the Maheshwar Sutras along with the Dambu. Now, this is a paragraph from Patanjali's Mahabhashya. In ancient times, it so happened that the Brahmins, after receiving their initiations, that is the thread ceremony, used to study grammar. To such boys who knew the proper places of pronunciation, the inner effort and the outer effort, instructions were given about Vedic words. But in our days, it is not so. By studying the Vedas, they soon become loquacious. They think that from the Vedas, we know the Vedic words, and from popular usage, we know the spoken language. Grammar is thus useless. To such deluded students, a teacher, as a friend, instructs the Shastra that these are the objects for studying grammar. This is from Anik 1. Now we go to the proper subject. That is what we face when we are educating children. Today, when education has become universal, greater is the need for instructing students the universal letters contained in the Maheshwar Sutras, irrespective of the medium of instruction, because the corrupt ones can only be appreciated with the help of the chaste ones. This is all the more important because by the time the child is 6 years of age and is enrolled in first standard, it is expected that he not only learn pronouncing each of the letter distinctly and separately, but also has to learn to read and write letters, words and sentences, which cannot be achieved by the child without having learned to phonate individual letters. However, we find that these children are instructed by teachers who are not trained to carry out this task. In most of the developed countries of the world, a system of teaching children to pronounce, read and write particular letters of a language has been developed, whatever it be. However, in India, though education has been made universal, no such system is in place to teach children to pronounce, read and write either their vernacular tongue or English. As a result, the number of dropouts by 5th or 7th standard is high as they cannot read or write nor properly speak the formal language. The above predicament is all the more acute in rural areas in India where children speak indigenous languages specific to their communities. The children from such communities find it difficult to pick up formal regional languages as well as English and hence are incapable to reach the expected proficiency in school. This is because the indigenous language have a unique phonetic structure, not easily erasable, which the child picks up from its parents and the community in which they live as it grows up to become eligible for school. In urban areas, in addition to the above predicament, where parents have migrated from rural areas or other states, we find the demonstration effect at work. Parents from middle and lower income groups enroll their wards in English medium schools, though neither of their parents are English literate. This is because the parents see their peers from higher income groups enrolling their wards in English medium schools. Here the child suffers most as he loses the vocabulary of his mother tongue and at the same time is incapable of picking up that of English. The primary goal of primary education is to enhance the vocabulary of the child. The malady of a large number of children reaching secondary education without being able to read and write has been acknowledged by both the primary and secondary teachers as well as by government agencies. However, neither the teachers nor the government agencies have come out with a solution to this problem. In order to come out from this dilemma, it is imperative as well as necessary to go back to the basics which lie in our tradition, that is Shiksha. A number of Shikshas are available in addition to the Pratishakyas meant for each Veda. Below find some of them. I will not go through each of them, but we have a score of such Shikshas which are available today. Sanskrit Pandits believe that each of the Shikshas are only necessary for studying a specific Sanskrit text. However, this belief is unfounded. There's a lot to contribute to even other regional languages or world languages. Now, this is from Patanjali's Mahabhashya. Now, instructions have to be made regarding correct words. How is any one of these may do? Thus, by restricting the edibles, the prohibition of the non-edibles is implied. When it is said that the five-nailed animals are edible, it is implied that others are not edibles. Or rather, by prohibiting the non-edibles, we may find the rule about the edibles. Thus, when it is said that the village fowl is not edible, the village pig is non-edible, it is implied that the forest ones are edible. So also, if we teach them the Maheshwar Sutras, they will understand what is not edible and they will also know how it is pronounced. However, at no place has a reason been given why the particular word is correct or incorrect. So when the phonation is correct, why is it correct has not been explained. What applies to words also applies to letters. If one knows how to pronounce the vowel a correctly, at the same time he also comes to know how not to pronounce it or how the student is pronouncing it incorrectly. That is, a teacher must not only know how a letter sounds correctly, but also be capable of deciphering the particular distortion in the letter sound that the student is phoneting and in the process correct him. This is because Shiksha needs to be a guide to practice rather than a theoretical text, as is the case with the practice of medicine, where the teacher and the student work together so that the student can observe how diseases are diagnosed and treated. Shiksha is by and large an in vivo exercise and not an in vitro one. The text only affords general guidelines. In India, Shiksha gained importance and became one of the most important Shastras among the six. The reason for Shiksha attaining such prominence was the prevalence of the oral tradition, whose main objective was to protect, preserve, and deliver the Vedas to the next generation in letter and spirit through the word of mouth. In the process, it must have been possible that some specific forms of pedagogy must have evolved among the elite Vedic practitioners. However, with the evolution of the art of writing and its use as a tool to preserve literature, the importance of the Shikshas started to decline, and it then only remained a scholastic Shastra rid of any practical need. This is how today these Shikshas present to us. How is it known? The word, the object, and the relation are eternal. Here the Vartika intervenes and says, Lokataha, from the behavior of people. In the world, the people take objects one after another and use words to signify them, but they make no effort in producing them. So it is obvious that a child learns to speak by listening to his peers. He is not required to be taught to speak. The child has an innate faculty to speak through observation and listening. This is how language is delivered from one generation to another. Thereafter, he uses speech to signify meaning. The problem with education is not that children cannot speak or understand what is spoken. The problem is that they cannot read or write fluently, when education today means to make the child capable to read and write fluently. Today, the child is taught to hold a pen or pencil and learn to write at the age of 4 to 5, when it is hardly able to speak words and sentences correctly. For anyone to learn to read and write, he needs to be taught single letters, which when combined form a word. However, a child does not learn to speak by joining single letters. He directly learns to pronounce words. The conversion of words into letter form is a scholastic exercise of which neither the child nor the teacher is aware. The dissection of words into letters itself became necessary during the Vedic age so that the spoken word form did not undergo change through generations. This exercise of dissecting the word into its constituent parts, that is letters, is evident in the Pratishakyas of the Vedas. On the other hand, as languages other than Sanskrit started getting social acceptance and started influencing Sanskrit's phonation, the science of grammar evolved in order to protect the Vedas. Single letters have no meaning. Secondly, single letters have no objectivity except for the script form. Therefore, the Sanskrit grammarians developed the Pratyahara form to express letter groups or added kara to single letters to make them intelligible. This is very important. Why the sutra form has been used with a pratyahara a, I, una? Because you cannot say a as a single letter. Or the other way around was to use the by suffixing kara to it. That is akara. So then that is the a. When a language starts acquiring a script form, words lose their objectivity. Unless a child detaches himself from the word form, that is the script form of the word, he cannot reach the meaning of the word while reading or writing. So the first problem with the child is he has to learn to phonate the written word. So he gets caught in this exercise of phonation. The meaning is far behind. For example, a or ka as a lingual sound ceases to exist and instead takes a script form. That is, when I say a, people are immediately directed to the script form and not to the phonation of the letter a. In effect, a particular letter or word, irrespective of the way it is phonated, is expected to be appreciated in terms of the script form and not the way it is phonated. Therefore, after the advent of the art of writing, the power of the spoken word has vanished, though all communication as yet has to be spoken before it can be written. A written word form cannot exist without a specific spoken form. We need to affirm with conviction that speech precedes writing and that the written word is but the mere representation of the spoken word. Now this is from Vakpadiyam. This is shloka number 142 and so on. This science of grammar is the supreme and wonderful source of the knowledge of the threefold word comprising many parts of the Vaikhari, the elaborated, the Madhyama, the middle one, and the Pashyanti, the seeing one. In those who evolved out of the undifferentiated, there is knowledge of the Shruti, revealed scripture, as in a dream. The written tradition, on the other hand, is composed by the sages and after understanding the nature of things and following the indications formed in the Vedas. Now here, yes, all literature that has come into being after the art of writing came into being are different. The reason for it, the moment the art of writing came into being, the darshana aspect of knowledge lost its, what you can say, importance. So knowledge is basically based on darshana and not on reasoning. That is what he wants to say. The correct words are the cause of the incorrect words are the cause of the correct words, figuring in the mind by inference. By identifying themselves as it were with them, they convey the meaning of the correct words. Now here, he is saying that the incorrect word is interpreted by the human brain with the help of the correct word. Just as the child who is learning the words Amba pronounces them indistinctly, and those who know his speech understand their distinct forms. In the same way, when an incorrect word is uttered in the place of the correct one, the understanding of the meaning is preceded by the correct word coming to the mind. The divine speech has been mixed up with the corrupt forms by incapable speakers. Those who consider words to be transitory are mistaken in this matter. That is, language, words, spoken words undergo change. This is a very big theoretical proposition by the West. Now here he is contradicting it and saying that this divine speech is Siddha as well as Nitya. Both the correct and the corrupt forms have been handed down to us uninterruptedly. Still, when intending to use one, the correct form, the speaker uses the other, the corrupt form, it is not the latter which must be deemed to be expressive of the meaning. So we go ahead. So here, whatever is true of the phonation of the word is equally true of the phonation of the letter A. As the correct phonation of the word cannot be uttered without the utterance of the correct form of the letters contained in it. You cannot utter the word correctly by corruptively phonating the letters that it contains. And hence, Panini prologued his Ashtadhyayi with the Maheshwar Sutras. The correct understanding of the Ashtadhyayi is only possible if one correctly phonates the letter sequences in the Maheshwar Sutras. But how does one determine whether the letters in the Maheshwar Sutras have been correctly phonated? The answer lies in the following shloka. Nruttavasane nataraja rajo nanada dhakkam nava panchavaram uddhartu kama sanakadi siddhan etad vimarshe shiva sutra jalam. So, what is the correct phonation of the Maheshwar Sutras? It can only be defined the way Shiva produced them through his Damru. At the end of his cosmic dance, Shiva, the Lord of Dance, with a view to bless the sages Sanaka and so on, played on his Damru 14 times, from which emerged the following 14 sutras, popularly known as Shiva Sutras or Maheshwar Sutras. From the above, it is clear that the Maheshwar Sutras have not been a product of an investigation of the Sanskrit language, but an abstraction from it. It is away from the Sanskrit level. It has a separate existence. This is the main difference between the letter sequences as described in the Pratishakyas and by Panini. The Maheshwar Sutras in their recitation thus provide the building blocks of human language, with the help of which Panini propounded the grammar of the Sanskrit language. It will not be out of place here to say that the Hala letters in the Maheshwar Sutras have been recited without suffixing the vowel A. This will become clear when we look at the facial muscles which need to be brought into operation while phonating A. The vowel A, as phonated in the Maheshwar Sutras, is unique and is only phonated when it is suffixed with the pharyngeal K, and so is the case with the E, E and U. The Ana vowels in the Maheshwar Sutras are those when they are suffixed to K, sounded as Kakikuna. So the E and the U that are suffixed to K are the vowels which are in the first sutra of the Maheshwar Sutras. So if you remove the K from it, what remains is the E and U. That is the proper sound of the first sutra, that is Una, Kakikuna. So this is important. No other way can that first way you have to learn to do it. But Kakikuna, the E and the U in Kakikuna also define the first sutra of Maheshwar. So Shankara revealed the letters through or with the help of the Damru. Only when one phonates the Maheshwar Sutras along with the Damru will one be in a position to reveal to himself the correct, desired, or the chaste phonation of the letters of human speech, as was revealed to Panini in the Maheshwar Sutras. If one does not ratiocinate the recitation of the Maheshwar Sutras along with the Damru, it amounts to that the individual is referring to the script letter and not the desired letter sound. Here I should say that my Guru Shivkumar Chaturvedi first said that in his dhyana, in an effort to write grammar, while he was doing his dhyana, Shiva came and told him that take these Maheshwar Sutras, these 14 sutras, and now start writing your grammar. That is what he told me, and this is quite true. This must have happened. Nobody can violate on the basis of reasoning those paths of dharma which have come down without a break, because they are the expected ones. Here, Bhartrhari is making a very specific statement that on the basis of reasoning, one cannot argue against what is contained in the darshan. The Ashtadhyayi is a darshana. It is not a reasoned out literature. So nobody can violate on the basis of reasoning those paths of dharma which have come down without a break, because they are accepted in the world. It is extremely difficult to establish by reasoning the nature of objects, because their properties differ according to the difference in circumstances, place, and time. That is why these people think their speech has undergone change. Ashtadhyayi remains what it is. From the previous expert, it is obvious that Maheshwar Sutras are not the product of a rational investigation in the letters used in words. The Maheshwar Sutras constitute a part of the Darshan Sahitya. The Maheshwar Sutras have come into existence out of an effort independently, even of the Sanskrit language. Hence, they are universal. So, there is no other way to reveal the nature of each letter of speech except with the help of the Damru, because that is how, in the tradition, they came to us through the Maheshwar Sutras. The uniqueness of the Damru in revealing speech sounds has been discussed in my book, Revealing the Atlantis of Sanskrit Phonology. Now here this is from Mahabhashya. Here the Vartika intervenes. The syllables are instructed also for the sake of indicating the desired articulation of syllables. The Bhashya says the syllables are instructed so that we may indicate the desired articulation of the syllables. It is not possible to indicate the nature of the desired articulation of the syllables without instructing properly about the syllables. Here the Vartika intervenes with a supposed objection. If the above view is accepted, then the instruction ought to indicate the Udatta, the Anudatta, and the Swarita accents, as well as the nasal, the long and vocative prolongation in each case. The Bhashya repeats the Vartika and says, and the syllables of all these qualities, since each syllable has varied forms, according to their accent, length, and the like, the instruction should then specify and indicate all the characters. Here the Vartika intervenes with a conclusive answer. By the instruction of the syllables in their universal aspect, this is effected. When the universal class of a is instructed, all a's may be comprehended. So the universal I and U syllables. Here another Vartika intervenes. If the purpose is served by the instruction of the syllables as universals, then there should be no instruction about the closed or the open utterances. The Bhashya repeats the Vartika sentence and raises the question, what are those closed and open utterances? The closed utterances are the Samvruta and the open are the Vivruta. They are the closed utterances that cause distortion, as they are the ones uttered from the improper places of articulation. All distortions in speech are associated with the Samvruta or closed utterances. In this paragraph, Patanjali is listing all the corruptions that creep in because of the Samvruta articulations or Samvruta speech. Then how can the closed utterances be afforded legitimacy when they are the cause of distortion or unchaste speech? How can you give legitimacy to a Samvruta utterance? The importance of chaste vowel phonation cannot be more emphasized than by the fact that all animals and birds communicate solely with the help of vowel sounds accompanied by intonation. And in this regard, humans cannot be any better. So though we do use consonants, basic communication takes place with the help of vowel sounds, not consonant sounds. The Samruta vowel phonation virtually inhibits humans from intonating vowels, thus impeding communication. So what does this Samruta phonation do? It makes us incapable of intonating words. This is the problem. If one reads the commentary of Patanjali of the last sutra of Ashtadhyayi, one will easily notice that Patanjali does not agree with the argument that the second in the sutra is Samruta. And the aim and objective of making the sutra is to instruct the Vivruta becomes Samruta. This is not the intention. This is what is said in all grammar books after Patanjali. On the contrary, he argues that there are many ways in which the second can be phonated, and it is not necessarily the Samruta one. Which are the other ways? This is the Vartika. He says this is true. हे सिद्ध होत आहे. ते कसे? तपर उच्चारण करावे म्हणजे सूत्रामध्ये अत असा तकार घालून निर्देश करावा. So what he says, what is the other way? So there is a sutra taparas tatkalasya. So you add ta to it. So ata is not samruta. It is vivruta. This is vivruta. Or अथवा या प्रकृत सूत्रामध्ये जे असे उच्चारण केले आहे ते एकाच प्रकारच्या अकाराचे नव्हे तर उदात्त अनुदात्त वगैरे अनेक प्रकारच्या रहस्व आकारांचे आहे. He says that second can be udatta anudatta, the first one can be udatta anudatta or swarita. So that is the argument that is given, and this has not been paid, nobody has paid heed to this. It is true that none of the two as phonated in the sutra are the same as that phonated in the first sutra of the Maheshwar Sutra. So this last sutra these two as cannot be phonated in the way the is phonated in the first sutra of the Maheshwar. That is una. This is different from the two as that have come in the last sutra of the Ashtadhyayi. There are those which are phonated when ta is suffixed to that is ata. They are those which is phonated in the Vartika, akarasya vivruttopadeshe akarasya grahanartha. Here, this akarasya, the in akarasya is not samruta, it is vivruta. So this is a kind of which is a representative of the in the first sutra of the Maheshwar Sutra. The question which modern Sanskrit grammarians need to answer is whether in ata and the in akarasya are samruta. Furthermore, there are not only two, that is the in the Maheshwar Sutras, and that phonated while suffixing ta to it. In fact, there are 18 anas. That is, there are 18 as, 18 is, and 18 us. How are they? Patanjali in his Mahabhashya has written that the ikara in Kirini and Girini are two different ikaras. The ikara in Kirini is not, in Kirini is not the same as e in Girini. So the is changing. The is changing places. So there are 18 in number. This was known to the grammarians at the time of Patanjali. What happens when the in ata or e in ita becomes samruta? One gets the Tamil alphabet, ik, ing. This way of sequencing the letters by prefixing a vowel to phonate a consonant, and that is phonated vivrutta. What happens in the Tamil language is the alphabet doesn't contain the second, third, and the fourth consonant of a class. So they can only pronounce aka and ika and inga. You cannot pronounce ka or ga with e prefix to it. However, when you prefix the vivruta a or the e or the u, then you can phonate all the consonants. That is aka, akha, aga, agha, anga. So this is the difference. And so on, where one cannot phonate the second, third, and the fourth class consonants. Therefore, if one wants to phonate all the consonants of each class by prefixing a, it is imperative that the a needs to be phonated vivruta as aka, akha, aga, agha, anga, or ika, ikha, iga, igha, inga. Therefore, once one has phonated all the letters in the Maheshwar Sutras chastely, one can easily determine and define the external effort invested in the phonation of each of the letters in the Maheshwar Sutras. Yet, the question remains as to why Sanskrit grammarians, after Patanjali, interpreted the last sutra as Vivruta becomes Samruta. The answer to this question lies in the incorrect structuring and sequencing of the script alphabet A, I, E, U, or Ka, Kha, Ga, Ga, Nga, etc. Letters, that is, vowels and consonants in words, come in Samhita form. However, in the above alphabet, they are arranged in discrete form. Hence, none of the consonants can be phonated without suffixing the consonant with a Samruta A. That is, if you want to say Ka, you are forced to use that Samruta A. You cannot phonate Ka with a Vivruta A. This is the problem. So therefore, these grammarians have taken refuge under the last sutra of the Ashtadhyayi. In order that this is achieved for the sake of convenience, the grammarians interpreted the last sutra as the Vivruta becomes Savruta because of the alphabet. It should be noted that if a consonant is phonated with a Savruta a guttural stop follows, thus corrupting the Samhita form of the recitation of the Vedas, as also the word form of language. So when you say Ka, you get a guttural stop. Then the Samhita form doesn't exist. Parat Sannikarsha Samhita Viramo Vasanam. Now, therefore, the Samhita form is obstructed when a Samruta is or a Samruta vowel is phonated in a Samruta way. The corruption of the as well as other vowels and consonants could have been avoided by instructing students while learning to write by suffixing kara to each of the phonated letters of the Barakhari. It would then have been instructed as akar, akar, ikar, ikar, or kakar, khakar, gakar, ghakar, etc. This would solve the problem. And so on, where the student by and through practice would have learned that akar means the letter a, just as students of English medium schools learn that A for apples means A. We now therefore define the external effort, the facial muscles involved in the phonation of the vowels, and how they themselves help us in defining the evolution of the shape of the tongue while phonating the consonants. So now I start with the plates. So this is the first plate. Here we are defining the muscle which is engaged while phonating the vibruta a. That is, this is the place. So you say you will see that this muscle gets contracted. Una. So you did that. That is the in it. Can be said in many ways, but this is the correct way from the point of view of the Maheshwar Sutra. This is as in una. The second plate is regarding E. This is necessary. You can say E. You are not using the muscles. So E. So this muscle needs to be used. E. This is E as in una. 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 So this is the facial muscles that are used. This is the U in una. Generally, what happens, this first sutra is so mispronounced. You go to YouTube and you will find many people reciting these sutras. 99% of them, they recite it as ayun. Why they recite it as ayun is because this a is pronounced samruta. So if you pronounce vivruta, it will become a-i-una. So this is the u in a-i-una. The next is r. R. This r is now in Marathi it is pronounced as ru. So u comes. In Hindi, ri. This is e. South India, it is a different way of pronouncing ru. The ru is this muscle. Ru-luk. Lu is the one above. So it becomes ru-luk. Ru-luk. These are the muscles that are in operation. And you can check them from this affords a practice of checking whether the right phonation has been achieved or not. Now this is a. So the upper lip near the nose is what is enabled. A. As in a-ong. This is o. A-ong. A-ong. These are the muscles. A-ong. Now a-ong. I, ouch. I. It is from the lower jaw. I, ouch. So, I, ouch. I, as in I, ouch. The next is ow. So, this is ow. So, I, ouch. Ow, as in I, ouch. This is ah. Many a times this people say open your mouth. It is not necessary to open one's mouth. These muscles are being used. It is not That is not is So this is as in vruddhiradaicha. Otherwise, it will, if you phonate the samruta one, it will become vruddhiradaicha instead of becoming vruddhiradaicha. So this is the muscle. The next muscle is the muscle for the nasals. Yamangana nama. So you will see that these muscles are enabled. Yamangana nama. So this is Yamangana nama. Then this is the ha in Hayavarat. Now this ha in Hayavarat is from the forehead. It is not Hayavarat. People phonate it as Hayavarat. No, these are sounds. It is Hayavarat. So this ha is Hayavarat. This is the ha as in Hayavarat. The next is the ha in Hala. The ha in Hayavarat is different from the ha in Hala. Hala ha is Hala. This is the ha in Hala. It is not the Hayavarata ha. This becomes the Visarga in the Sanskrit language. It becomes Hala. This is the a and the a, as in act and ought. In this, the farther off muscles are used. So the problem why do these so-called vowels not exist in Sanskrit is because they cannot be suffixed or prefixed with a consonant. This is the characteristic feature of a vowel. The characteristic feature of a vowel is that it should either be capable of being suffixed or prefixed to a vowel. You can't say you will come. Is the curb doesn't remain as expected. Or you can cat. Now the k is not phonated. It is just that it is touched and gone. And now the last is the orbitals. These are very important, and these muscles are used to feel the other muscles. So this is the Pashyanti. These muscles, while you are phonating, you have to see what you are phonating. You can feel the muscles. You can hear the sound that you are generating, etc., etc. Next, we come from the above plates. It is clear that the letters in the Maheshwar Sutras, if phonated chastely, are sequenced according to dharma. Each vowel letter in the Maheshwar Sutras is so sequenced that each vowel letter brings into play a specific muscle of the face, which is not the case with the now prevalent letter sequences of vowels. A, A, E, E. None of these muscles are brought into use, or they are not brought into play. So therefore, this A, I, E, Ka, Kha, Ga, Ga, Nga are actually totally corrupt letter sequences. One will also observe the difference in the effort between the short and the long anas, that is between A and A. That during the phonation of the short A, the tongue lies on the floor of the mouth. Floor of the mouth. However, while phonating the long A, that is A, though the muscle at play is the same, the tongue gets slightly lifted. That is what even Patanjali has said in his Mahabhashya, that it is not because of Kal difference that the short and the long vowels are defined. It is because the prayatna is different. The external effort is different. What is the difference in the external effort? That when we are phonating the short the tongue lies on the floor of the mouth. When we are phonating the long or E or U, the tongue gets slightly lifted. Though the muscle at play is the same, the tongue gets slightly lifted. In none of the shikshas has the role of the tongue been described in phonating the five class consonants. At the same time, no explanation as to how each of the class consonants evolved. When one phonates the ana vowels chastely, one can easily make out that the shape of the tongue changes for each of the ana vowels. So when you say una, not only the muscles of the face are put into action, the shape of the tongue also changes. That is when in the case of the shape of the tongue is elongated and tipped. That is while phonating E, the tongue gets retracted and spreads along the teeth. E. While phonating U, the tongue gets elongated and the tip of the tongue retroflexes a bit. So U, you will see that the tongue gets retroflexed a bit. These three shapes of the tongue are the shapes that are taken by the consonants T, Ch and T. So what happens so the creates the tongue shape for T. Can I carry on? Hello, can I?
Please carry on.
These three shapes of the tongue are the shapes that are taken by the consonants T, Ch and T. So T is the tongue shape is like O. In Ch, the tongue shape is like E. And in T, the tongue shape is retroflex like U. In the case of K and P, the tongue has no role to play. In the case of K, as the consonant is pharyngeal or velar, the tongue places itself posteriorly by getting slightly retracted. So when you are saying K, the tongue gets retracted a bit. On the other hand, as P is placed on the lips, the tongue slightly extends itself towards the teeth. P. As the Yana letters are derived from the Aka letters, so they can be described in terms of the Aka letters. The only thing that now remains to be defined is in the case of Shashasara, they are derived from the consonants Cha, Ta and Ta letters respectively. So in the case of Sha, it is like Cha. In the case of Sha, it is like Ta. And in the case of Sa, it is like Ta. and hence the tongue takes the shape of the respective letters. One will find that in the Maheshwar Sutras, the same sequence exists in the 11th and the 13th Sutras, namely Chatatava and Shashasara. So the Sutras itself defines that Shashasara has come from Chatatava. So the shape of the tongue is of Shashasara is the same as the shape of the tongue in Chatatava, except that it doesn't touch the hood of the mouth. That is all. So Chatatava is a plosive consonant. Shashasara is a non-plosive consonant, and the tongue doesn't touch the hood of the mouth. To summarize, we can say the Maheshwar Sutras describe the primordial human sounds used by man to communicate. Thus, they are universal and not specific to Sanskrit. Hence, they are by nature divine. Being universal, the Maheshwar Sutras can be used as shiksha, irrespective of the medium of instruction. Teachers need to be trained to phonate the Maheshwar Sutras correctly so that children will be in a position to learn the basic alphabet of Indian languages as well as English speedily, or any other language for that matter. So each letter in other languages is but a corruption of these human lingual sounds. So how it is corrupted, if you know, you will be in a position to phonate it. The contemporary interpretation of the last sutra of the Ashtadhyayi is unjustified. A knowledge of the facial muscles used during the phonation of the vowels will be helpful in training teachers and children alike. The mystery of the evolution of the consonants stands solved. They have not independently evolved. In fact, they have evolved from vowels. The sanctity, sadhutva of the Ashtadhyayi is neither in the Vedas or how people spoke Sanskrit. It lies in the Maheshwar Sutras, because in those days too, those people speaking Sanskrit must have been incorrectly phonetic words, as they even do today. A Siddha word too can be mispronounced. So, without the Maheshwar Sutras, one will not be in a position to distinguish between a sadhu and an unsadhu word, or between a shabda and an apashabda. The Maheshwar Sutras, as revealed to Shiva, are a testimony to the fact that the Indian tradition reflected in its literature the innate faculties of nature, speech being one of them. So the Vedas are only describing the innate faculties of nature. And this is one of it. Speech, or the Maheshwar Sutras, is one of it. That is what the Vedas are all about. Thank you. If you have any questions, it has been you have waited, or you have endured through this whole article. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, secondly, I would like to tell you that one more thing. Diary. 1 minute. 1 minute. So it is important that now, since single letters are not fit to be instructed, they need to be arranged in a sutra form, thus becoming fit for instruction. So why has this sutra form come? Because single letters cannot be instructed. The sutra form is a form, it takes the form of a word. That is the difference. Therefore, in the Maheshwar Sutras, the letters have been instructed in sutra form, not individual letters. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I will be pleased to answer them. Should I stop sharing this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Achyut ji. Now If somebody wants to ask question, Sheila ji, ask question. You want to ask question, Sheila Shekhar?
No, sir.
Okay. Then mute yourself.
Okay.
Should I mute myself?
Surya Prabhakar.
Yes, sir. So can you share the PDF form of this?
I'll share it. I'll share it with Rao ji, and he will
Okay.
forward it to you. So you will get the PDF form.
Okay, so that we can
I
review it.
have a question. I have a question. I have a question.
Please.
Please.
Okay, Sharma.
Mike.
P.T. Sharma from Kolkata. Namaskar to everybody. Wonderful lecture, sir. My question is, you have written a book when the multimedia form was not available. Now that we have so many kinds of multimedia formats, will you be able to translate your books into multimedia format, video, audio, and put it up for sale?
See, what happened was when I wrote the book, I did not find any publisher for it. So I personally printed it and distributed it to my friends. Now, if interest can be generated in this conversation, it will be important for all of us to get this book printed. And if anybody is ready to print the book, and secondly, with this addition of the present article, the book itself requires a lot of rewriting. In the sense, these new aspects which have come up, I did not know. I knew that the Madhyama was regarding the muscle effort that we are taking. However, I could not identify the muscles. The Maheshwar Sutra, these, what you can say, these plates helped me in identifying those muscles. And secondly, these plates are animated plates. If you take the anatomical face of the mouth, of the anatomical face, it will be very difficult for anybody to pinpoint which muscle is in action. So the second part of it is this, that while you are speaking Sanskrit, even if you are reciting Vedas or reciting shlokas, it will be very, very difficult to identify the muscle which is going into operation, or even identifying the tongue or the shape of the tongue and the place at which it is being phonetic. Had it not been for these Maheshwar Sutras, you cannot identify the place of phonation. No wonder that it has not been identified even by Westerners. They can't identify it in speech. And single letters do not describe what is going on while a word is being articulated. This is the problem, and hence the Maheshwar Sutras are very, very important. This description of the Madhyama can only take place with the help of the Maheshwar Sutras. And I have written sutras. I have written sutras for the Barakhandi. My daughter asked me, should I teach them? I told her, you first teach the Maheshwar Sutras. Nothing can replace it. The only thing in the Maheshwar Sutras, which we in South India do not appreciate, is that the letter R has not been included. And hence it appears as if it is foreign to us. However, we can include this letter very, very easily by saying, instead of saying ruluk, we will say ruluk. That solves the problem. So they are all savarnas. Ru, lu, and ra are savarnas. And secondly, if you bring in la, there is one more aspect which I have covered in my book, which we need not go here. For example, I'll tell you, this is one of the shortcoming of the Maheshwar Sutra. The shortcoming is this, that when you say Hayavarata and Lana, this Lana can be mispronounced as Lan. You will find all those who have uploaded Maheshwar Sutras on YouTube saying Lan. How this Lan becomes dental. It is not Lan, it is Lan. This is the difference. And this problem can be solved by taking the la as the last letter of the previous sutra, so that you say hayavaralat. Here there is no chance of that la becoming dental. So these, see, this is not a, I don't wish that Panini needs to be criticized, because, you know, even if la is not there, and but there is a lot of discussion among the grammarian fraternity, that it is not ra, it is da. Now this is wrongly placed. It is ra, and ra is not only ra is in Agni Mere. Ra is a consonant which is used today in India across the board, especially in South India, even including Marathi. So ra need not go out, but it is, however, not at all related to the da, as is described by many Sanskrit grammarians. So ra is
Sir, please, your extension of the lecture. My question is, can this now, your book, be converted into a very strong multimedia
yes,
kind
yes.
of a object which everybody, because book reading does not give the animation. Now, but with video, you can actually give the animation like you have given in the lecture. It was wonderful because you have used both hands to point out the muscles. I am now much more better informed how to pronounce even the Hindi, Devanagari, Sanskrit, or
Yes,
anything. I am much more informed. But your wonderful work has to become permanent in society. So it will be a great effort on your part. I understand that. But if you take the effort and gather a small team from Bangalore to make animations, video, and audio, and all the also written, the written like you have presented. It was wonderful reading through the whole thing, and wonderful also to understand the shortcomings of Panini. I used to consider Pani as a perfect grammarian, but
yes.
now I understand there are shortcomings, and the Bengali gentleman you have pointed out is much more better at pointing out this and that and that. So I am in Calcutta. I am proud to be a Bengali now.
No, no. What I would suggest is, why does the Veda Samskruti Samiti not initiated? I will at all costs. I will collaborate or cooperate. See, I am not. I have retired 26 years ago, and today I don't have the finances to actually print the book. Printing the book itself took me 25,000. I translated it into Marathi. And in fact, this book can be translated into all Indian languages. Why
Sir,
only?
make PDF. Sir, make PDF. It is all free. You don't have to print. Nowadays, everybody wants PDF file. Printing is out of question. Please convert to PDF.
PDF will do. I will work on it because I will. It will be required that I revise that book and include this today's presentation also. And Veda Samskruti Samiti has really helped me a lot in giving me an audience, and I really thank them from the bottom of my heart. That people like me who are, unfortunately, I am not Sanskrit literate. That is my biggest, what you can say, biggest hurdle. Had I been aware, in fact, the Ashtadhyayi, what has happened, I'll tell you. The Ashtadhyayi has been interpreted from the point of view by Katyan or by Patanjali, from the way in which Vedas were recited, or the way in which people spoke Sanskrit. Now, this can, with the help of this, one cannot criticize the Ashtadhyayi. This is not a correct basis for criticizing or appreciating the Ashtadhyayi. The Ashtadhyayi should be interpreted from on the foundation of the Maheshwar Sutras. Point number one. Point number two, even Patanjali has faltered while saying that Ayogavaha letters, though not required by Panini, are in existence. This has given a frame that the grammar which Panini wrote is just like the grammar that Wren wrote about English. That is not the case. Or somebody wrote a Marathi grammar, or somebody wrote a Tamil or a Kannada grammar. There, the grammar contained usages. It doesn't contain a phonetic element into it. What Panini's Ashtadhyayi contains is a phonetic element. If one cannot appreciate the phonetic element in it, and therefore the Maheshwar Sutras are very, very important, because though they provide the phonetic element into the Ashtadhyayi, meaning-wise, there are many aspects to it, and hence Ashtadhyayi stands out. Whether you, even Patanjali has said, if you want to criticize, make a sutra and criticize him. Don't write sentences and long paragraphs to criticize him. Write a sutra at a particular place.
I understand that, sir. Sir, coming back to my question, how much money do you need? Send me the requirement. I will arrange the fund from rich people, and we will all support you.
Yes, yes,
Hindu
sure.
must rise, and Sanskrit and Vedas must come up
Yes,
from the, anonymous place that they are in. We are at the dark bottom of a dark pit. We must come out from there, and we must become like sunshine. We will show the world that this is Hindu, and this is our culture, and this is Vedas. All this has to come out. You please send me money requirement. I will do it.
I'll work on it. I'll rewrite the book, and then we will work, because this is very important. I'll tell you. For example,
Sir, book for the
somebody,
Sir, please read the book. Now do multimedia. Multimedia, PDF, animation, all that. Please, please, please.
I'll share the book with Raoji. That book which is available, I'll also share the PDF of this article, and that will at least temporarily. Then I'm thinking about rewriting it, because in the light of all these new revelations, it is important.
Sir, no rewriting. Make videos, talk, just speak out the thing, and it will be recorded. You don't have to write it. Make notes on paper, but please record on video. You are a wonderful lecturer.
No, ठीक है. I have to take a lot of, and secondly, I am working single-handedly. See, around me, I have no Sanskrit pandits, so it is very difficult. I have in mind, even in what happens today, nowadays, is it has to be rendered in all languages. When we are talking about such a subject, it has to be rendered in all languages. For me, it comes English, Hindi, and Marathi. But other languages also, it is important. Equally important. I'll tell you, after understanding this, see, every Indian thinks that his mother tongue is the most purest form of a language, whether it be Kannada, whether it be Telugu, whether it be Marathi, whether it be Hindi. But people do not recognize that they are all corrupt in one form or another. The corruption might be different. See, therefore, I said that how did so many languages evolve? What is the cause for the evolution of so many languages? The reason for the evolution of so many languages is what? Abhinivesha. So each language has evolved with a specific abhinivesha by which it has distorted this human lingual sounds, basic human lingual sounds. So they get distorted. And when the distortion goes into the society, it goes on to form a language, therefore the plastic face. So the evolution of languages is not by begging, borrowing from other languages. It is unique to the region. Therefore, you find that languages are unique to that particular region. The reason being that the abhinivesha depends on the local geographical conditions. That makes the face.
I understand this thing, sir. My daughter is married into Chennai. She used to call me Papa, but now she calls me Papa.
So this abhinivesha changes the language. And this is very important. This in the process of working on this article, this is what I realized, that it is abhinivesha which changes, which gives birth to languages. So once man has become acquainted with the basic lingual sounds, it then according to the Abhinivesha, the words get formulated.
The Chinese and Japanese use a letter called katakana and
That-
hirakana. You know,
all
they
that-
are pronouncing kakagaga in Chinese language, ka, ha, ga, like that. So distortion takes place. That is true.
for example, my guru, Shivkumar Chaturvedi says, he used to talk about Tamil and make fun of them. That you cannot pronounce kha, ga and gha. In their place, you write ka only. Today I understood what the reason why they cannot write the kha, ga and gha or cha, ja and ja. The reason is that Samskruta is obstructing them from phonating the three letters. So if you say ika, you can't say kha after that with a Samskruta I. That is the reason. With Kannada or Malayalam or Telugu, they have taken it. They have taken the Sanskrit phonation and worked into it. That is not what Tamil has done. So by this,
Yes, now I understand the mystery of the missing kha, ga, gha in Tamil script, because when I was making the keyboard for the PC for all Indian languages, I faced the difficulty. There is no kha, ga, gha in Tamil.
a
And
script
when I
letter is
made the
not there.
app,
See,
yes, when I made the app for cell phone, I faced the same difficulty that ka is there. My daughter is now pronounced as Shweta. She is not pronounced as Shweta. When she is in Tamil, in Chennai, people call her Shweta, Shweta. But when she's come back to Calcutta, she's called Shweta.
this work of mine can help us in analyzing, appreciating, and working on the relationship between all the Indian languages. What has
That
not
is very good, sir. That is very good. Please don't die soon. You have got a lot of work to do.
that is true, but see, that requires human power, and that is that if people
No,
teach,
there is a lot of human power. You talk to CSR Prabhu, he's in touch with Sanskrit Vishwavidyalaya, and there are so many, Sanskrit-oriented people now in Bangalore, and Bangalore is going to become the headquarters of IT in the world. So we have got a lot of work to do. आप जल्दी से मत करिएगा. मेरे को 10 साल का टाइम एक्सटेंशन मिल गया है. नाड़ी वेदा, नाड़ी ज्योतिष has given me lot of parihar. Now my life was 72, now it has become 82. So I am there for 10 years for you.
that is true, but even if, see, we should get interested into this Maheshwar Sutras, and they are beautiful. They are a piece of art which can never be erased. It will provide you with all solutions, whatever they are. And this is very important because human lingui is the basis of knowledge, of human knowledge. If the basis is gone, everything gets destroyed. So even if the script is there, the script cannot replace the oral tradition. That is, and I learned this from my guru Vasudevacharya Joshi. He told me, see, Rasva Dirga are very important. And if you can, and I have even posted on my YouTube channel his recitation. It is simple and straightforward. He says, Dharmakshetre, now he intonates. Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yuyutsavaha, Mamaka, Pandavaschaiva, Kimakurvata Sanjaya. This is how I was introduced. And secondly, there has been, see, not that the tradition has gone. We cannot bring the tradition where education has become universal. We cannot spread it. What has happened is Sanskrit to teach. It is not difficult to teach Sanskrit. It is very difficult to make the child pronounce Sanskrit words or shlokas. When that becomes easy, once he gets acclimatized, then it is, I can just think of that how people could reproduce a full lecture in Sanskrit after the Sanskrit lecture has ended. How memory can work at these levels? What I wish to place is this, that in my book I had written that human memory is not sound based. Human memory is kinesthetic. These muscles help a person to memorize. The muscles, the sequence of the muscles that we are using are recorded by the brain, not the sound. So why Sanskrit Pandits can remember so many shlokas, such a large Rigveda? The reason is that this language, either Vedic Sanskrit or Lokik Sanskrit, is compatible to the human brain. It is a compatible language to the human brain, where human memory becomes so easy. You need not revise it. Once he listens, he memorizes it. And I was faced this problem. These science textbooks are so long. How do I memorize them? It is impossible. If these science textbooks are put into shloka form, that nothing, India, we will at the tip of our fingers, we will be in a position to progress and beat them left and right. The reason is just a translation, and the problem is Panini has provided all the tools. You can take a letter or a word or a root and make a word out of it. For example, prolaxis. Suppose this is a word, you can make a Sanskrit word for it. It is not that we cannot make words. This will help. This job will help in achieving that. And once we have done it, then education becomes simple. By the time the child passes 10th standard, he will have by-hearted graduation textbooks, material information. That is how much information is contained in the Vedas. And this information, we need not have nothing is necessary. Let us see. I will have a talk with Raoji. We will work on it, and it is necessary.
And have a talk with me, PK Sharma, Calcutta. You have a talk with me also, PK
Yes,
Sharma, Calcutta.
You just send me your email address or your
PK
WhatsApp.
Sharma, Calcutta. PK Sharma, Calcutta @gmail.
I will exchange.
You exchange those who are interested in.
I will send his number to you. I'll send his number to you. You can.
I'm short
can
of
talk to
people
him.
on a daily basis. I cannot interact. That is my problem. We have no
PK
people.
Sharma ji, your number is there with me, or I don't know.
There's nobody around me. And this is a very important job that needs to be done.
Sharma ji, can I note down
No,
your
no,
number,
it is a
please?
mission in my
You note
life.
down your number.
Now I'm
Sharma
on
ji will
dialysis
not.
for 14 years. Now I've got nothing to do. I'm totally unemployed. This is going to become my mission for life. Please help.
Sharma ji, can you put your number again there now?
That's PK Sharma Calcutta @gmail.com. You WhatsApp me, I will send
PK Sharma
number.
Calcutta, one word. PK Sharma Calcutta, one word.
PK Sharma Calcutta, one word.
Okay.
No gap.
SHARMA.
Have a look at my website also, sir, please. pk2.in.
Calcutta double T.
pk2.in.
Calcutta double T.
My number is 98310
98310
92
92
757.
757.
I have
98310
got very rich
92757.
relative. Money is no
And
problem. I
how
will
do you
fund
spell
you
Calcutta?
as much as you want.
How do you spell Calcutta?
Sorry, sir.
Calcutta spelling.
Yes, I am in Calcutta.
No, Calcutta. How do in your email ID? How do you spell Calcutta?
I am not able to hear. Please repeat.
In your email ID, how do you spell Calcutta?
Calcutta is CALCUTTA. Or you can say also PK Sharma Kolkata. I have that
Okay.
also. PK Sharma Kolkata @gmail.
Okay. Thank you.
easy to
So-
remember.
Maheshwarji, did you note down? I have noted down already. I will send to you.
Yes, sir, please. Thank you so much. बहुत
Yeah,
बहुत
please,
नमस्कार, बहुत बहुत
there
आभार.
are so many people will be there to help you if you are really take pains of making it as a media programs of these lectures. So we will get into this work slowly, and this is required
Yes,
now.
yes, I'm willing. My granddaughter is now into animation, etc. And she's
Yeah.
into, making movies, etc. She's in Bombay. I can take her help. But there is a whole team of people around, not a problem. I've got contacts with a lot of people. Let us get together and put this through. Let the sun shine now. Guru,
Okay,
क्या
sir.
विश्व गुरु बनना है ना sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We understand your feelings and
Even
we
a
understand
squirrel,
your support. Thank you very
even
much.
the squirrel used to help make the Ram Setu.
Yeah, right, sir. Right. You've got a great affiliation of affection towards this, and we all have the same feelings, and we are together. We need to work together on these things. Maheshwarji, Achyut Karve, let us go ahead on these things. What we can do, how do you do it?
Yes,
What
yes.
you want, kindly inform us.
Yes.
We'll interact with Sharmaji and others, and we'll see what best we can do, what best we can be a catalyst in this affair.
Sure, sure, sure. Sure.
And then there is another
And
contingent
I will
lady
refer
who
to
is
you also,
that.
Dr.
Yeah.
Dr. CSR Prabhu, Dr.
Yeah.
Shivakulam Sriram Prabhu. CSR Prabhu is very active.
So Prabhu is with us only. So we'll introduce him also to you.
Let us work.
Not a great session. It is a wonderful session. Wonderful session.
Okay, if this discussion is over, there is one more person who wants to ask a question.
Go on.
Vijayashree has got a.
Is that Sheila ji? Where is she? Anybody else want to ask a question?
Vijayashree has got a point there. You can read out that point. Chat box.
Points from chat box.
Vijayashree to everyone. Would you like to read?
Okay, somebody is offering, I can help in printing from MLBD. I have contact with them. What is MLBD? Mahapatra ji, are you there?
Sir, sir, namaste. Sir, this is Motilal Banarasi Das from Delhi.
Okay, okay. So, Achyut ji, if you are interested in getting it published, there is a person who can help you. His name is Mahapatra ji.
Yeah, I have given my number, sir, in chat box, and also my mail ID. So we'll talk to them how much they charge and what are the procedure. But definitely we can do. He's a nice publisher and a renowned publisher.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, Banaslal Das, we take up his best.
See, there is a question in the chat box. Sir, I wish to add the spoken Sanskrit does not have la. Only the Vedic Sanskrit and South Indian languages such as Marathi and Telugu have. Now, I'll tell you, wherever this, in place of ru or lu, where actually as a Savarna, la should have taken its place, it not
Yeah, sir.
its place.
Earlier what was there, but in current period they have removed.
That has to be there.
Yeah. Ru, lu, lu.
For example, Kamala. In Kamala, in this, that la, because of that la not being there, this la becomes, even in Sanskrit, it is becoming dental. If you say Kamala, there is no, this is chaste. Kamala is corrupt.
Yes, sir.
So
you mean to say that so many years they have been using this the law, dental law in Sanskrit literature?
This is the greatest corruption. Done.
From Veda
Yes.
Saukika, when it moved, maybe the L, which we pronounce it in southern languages,
Ne-
Lakara, is not there
ne-
anymore in Laukika Sanskrita. That is why Panini and other grammarians during those sutras, they did not mention that Lakara only. But they
No,
gave examples of Lakara. Aglir Mille, etc.
yeah,
ne-
in Odia language, we are using la and law both.
Ah,
Sir, the
so
Vedic
Yeah,
Samskrita had the Lakara, but
earlier
the
it was in
Laukika Samskrita, which came over a
vowels.
period of time, does not have it. So during the Panini time, when he wrote his grammar, he took the process of the Laukika Samskrita only and gave it. That is why
I'm saying that Ra could easily have been accommodated by Panini. Panini was not aware of that Ra. This is what needs to be spoken.
Sir, he was aware. That is why he gave the example of Aglir Mille and Vedic examples.
That has been written by Patanjali. Panini's Ashtadhyayi, does it contain any reference to the
Ashtadhyayi Sutras, there was no Lakara. I agree to that. He was not aware, you mean to say.
The question is, if I am saying that the Ashtadhyayi is founded on the Maheshwar Sutras, and where I am pointing out that Haya Varalat should have been there. It should not have been Haya Varata and Lana. This Lana making it a separate sutra gives room for this La to become dental. So you put it in the previous one, La can never become dental. So you say Haya Varalat. Why you need to split it from the subsequent? Why you need to have a separate sutra for it? And this is what my Damru has taught me. Huh? You can say Haya Varalat. And Haya Varalat, La comes behind La. So this different sutra in the Maheshwar Sutras itself is see, this is not a criticism. We have to go ahead. He might not be looking, he might not have found. We can find sutras about this law in the Ashtadhyayi and make an observation. Why not? Why we need to give up a letter just because it is not there in the Ashtadhyayi? I will not give up in Marathi. Will a Tamilian give up in Tamil? There are 3
languages have the letters which need not be given up, but the Sanskrit itself, when you consider it as a spoken language, do any Sanskrit literature, people can tell us, in any Sanskrit literature, like in Kalidas or anywhere, do they mention the Lakara anywhere? I just wanted to know. I am not aware of that.
They will not mention because it is not there. See, this is, but
that is what I am also making the point, sir. Only the Vaidika Samskrita has a Lakara and not the Laukika Samskrita.
See, I will tell you why this Lakara has not been included. And I have written it in this book. The problem is Ra is neither a vowel nor a consonant. Why is it not a vowel? Because you cannot suffix it or prefix it to a consonant. A vowel has this specific characteristic that it has to be suffixed or prefixed to a consonant. Now, Ra has it doesn't have this space. It is neither a consonant because you cannot suffix or prefix a vowel to it.
So when we say Lakara, there is an Akara already attached to it.
If it has to be a vowel, it has to be capable of being, if it has to be a consonant is such a letter that you can suffix or prefix a vowel to it. So for example, Ka, you can say Ka or
Akara the same way La and is it not La?
With Ra, there is a problem vis-a-vis the letter. That in Ra, you can pronounce the letter Ra only by prefixing a vowel to it. You can say Ara, you can say Ira, you can say Ura. You cannot say Ra, these are not laws. These are not Marathi. In Marathi, this Bharagadi is written in this. These are not laws. Ra is a retroflex letter. if that retroflexion has to be maintained, you have to prefix a vowel to it. So it will become ala, ila, ula, ula,
There is no Barakhari for ala in Marathi, you mean to say?
No, they're right, but that is not chaste. The ala has this unique characteristic. So, for example, you see in Tamil or Telugu or even in Marathi, what we do is, समजा आम्ही म्हणता ना कमळ. So kamala, it is ala. It is not kamala. That cannot be phoneted. It has to come with a vowel. So it will become kamala. Alan, 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 alan. This is how it gets separated. It cannot be phoneted as alan. That becomes a la. So wherever this dental la is phoneted in Sanskrit, in spoken Sanskrit, if you may say, it is expected that a la should come in its place. This is what I feel. This is what my study tells me, and I have included that in the book. That la is, and what I did was I reduced the Maheshwar Sutras with one sutra by putting Haya Varala together. And see, there is also a problem vis-a-vis the Anuswara. Now, Anuswara is also a problem. What is an Anuswara? The Anuswara problem is that there are two types of nasals. In fact, there are the 64 letters are made up of. There are two kas. If you say akka, this is one ka, and you can also chastely say akka. Now, these two kas are different, though they have the same script form. So if I and that I have given in my book, that I think I should remove so that I get some. For example, kantha and kapala, are these two kas the same? Are their places of articulation the same? I am saying kantha and I am saying kapala. In kapala, the ka is velar. In kantha, the ka is pharyngeal. One more aspect which is important that we note is that all South Indian languages do not use the pharyngeal kavarga. They all use the velar vowel. This is the uniqueness of the South Indian languages. Vis-a-vis the North Indian languages, they don't use the velar ka. They all use kaha ja rahe ho. This ka comes, that ka they are using. Sanskrit, both are used. So in Sanskrit, for example, I'll ask you, tat. You pronounce the word tat. So the first ta is alveolar, and the second ta is palatal. Tat savitaru varenyam. So this ta has two places of phonation. Tat becomes, the first becomes alveolar, the second becomes dental, palatal. So Sanskrit has this unique, and then alone you can bring together these 64 letters, because this problem is there, that how did they come to the conclusion that there are 64 letters in the Sanskrit language? This Paniniya Shiksha has derived it in a very different way. That it is very simple, that I can say akka, 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 akka. So each of these have two articulation points. So 20 to the 40, there itself you get twice the number of letters. They have not come into the script. That is the problem. The script in spoken, it is there. For example, we say chincha. Here we are using one palatal cha and the other alveolar cha. It is there. But this has not been noticed. We have not noticed it. That is the problem. For example, I'll give you an example. Gacchami, gacchavaha, gacchamaha, gacchasi, gachatha, gachatha. Abhi gacchati, gacchataha, gacchanti. Here that ta is becoming alveolar in the last form. It is not gacchami, gacchava, gacchama. These are all palatal. Cha is palatal. Gacchasi, gacchata, gacchata. This is also palatal. But gacchati, gacchataha, gacchanti, this is alveolar. The T is alveolar, it becomes alveolar. And cha also becomes alveolar. Gacchati, it is not gacchati. It is not like that. It is not palatal. It is alveolar. And so these 64 letters have been arrived at. That there are two articulations for each of the ka, cha, ta and ta varga. Pa varga has only one articulation because lip doesn't have that place. So we have the Sanskrit language is using the whole phonetic organ to achieve all the combinations. This is unique to Sanskrit. No other language has this uniqueness. So we need not be apologetic. They are absolutely important, and we need to bring it forward. And we need to fight it with these Western phoneticians who have they have totally destroyed our basic framework of of the script as well as of the spoken word. And with the help of these muscles, we can then develop a software where I hope that somebody does it, wherein we can generate chaste Sanskrit speech. This has to be done. It is necessary that we put our heart and minds into it. Okay, so we can continue, and I think we will come into contact. We'll make a group out of this, and we will converse time to time. And sure. And if anybody wants to learn how to recite the Maheshwar Sutras, and if anybody is interested in understanding the method in which we can correct our speech, I am an anglicized person. I have corrected my speech through this Maheshwar Sutras. Otherwise, I couldn't have done it. I had an English anglicized speech. So we need to rectify it and understand what is happening to us. And this is even in the tabla. What struck me was through tradition, this Vivruta business has put the whole tabla compositions into a systemic framework where the Maheshwar Sutras, the articulation of the Maheshwar Sutras work. This was the reason why I went into it. And after an investigation, I found that all those tabla compositions which were received by my guru from Amajan Therakwa, and he received it from Munir Ghazal, all these compositions are chaste. And the tabla has consonants are important because they are the strike part of the letters. They are important, but the vowels are also important. And Amajan Thirakwa used to say that this drum, the tabla, is a drum of swaras. It is not a tasha. It has swaras in it. There is intonation in it. There are these 18 anas in it. Everything is there in it. So this is what we need. This has to be done. See, Sanskrit is not my subject matter. But from this, I came to know that it was a more universal aspect as far as Sanskrit is concerned. And we need to work on it. There is no doubt on it. Okay. So it is already 5:57. We are nearing 6 o'clock. That will be fine. And I'll be very much interested in conversing with all of you from time to time and taking this subject ahead.
Okay. Dhanyawad ji. Now let us go for Prarthana. Govindaraj garu. Please unmute yourself. I'll help you in doing it. 1 minute.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं शोभरहितो ब्राह्मणः सन्तु निर्भयाः अपुत्राः पुत्रिणः सन्तु पुत्रिणः सन्तु पौत्रिणः अधनाः सधनाः सन्तु जीवन्तु शरदां शतं सत्यं वद धर्मं चर स्वाध्यायान्मा प्रमदः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ओम शांति 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 ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु स्वस्ति
ధన్యవాదములండి గోవిందరాజు గారు. Thank you so much. Prakash garu, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am there, sir.
Let us go for Janaganamana.
Yes, sir. जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गादा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद
जय हिंद
सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः
जय श्रीराम जय श्रीराम
जय श्रीराम जय श्रीराम
ధన్యవాదములండి ప్రకాష్ గారు.
ధన్యవాదాలు సార్.